Now, I was preparing to go to work in a few hours. I'm a physical therapist and I use my hands a lot. And in that 2 hours, I thought I would finish some construction on some bookshelves I was working on. So I got the wood ready and got my handy circular saw. And I was pushing the saw forward and it kicked backward and literally ran over two of these fingers, cutting them across the fingernails and cutting them fairly deeply. And there was a lot of blood, there was a lot of pain, and there was a little bit of cursing, I must admit. And so what I did was I rushed to the bathroom and I washed out the wound and I put some cotton and then I put some band-aids kind of holding the fingertips where they're supposed to be. And my first thought was coming from fear. I said, well, I'm going to be going to this clinic, there'll be a doctor there, I can have my fingertips stitched back where they're supposed to be. But then I remember something important. I had studied Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures by Mary Baker Eddy, the founder of Christian Science, and many years and many experiences of healings, I could use Christian Science tech for this. So I started remembering a few things that I had learned from Mary Baker Eddy. Number one, that in the mind of God there are no accidents. And if you remove the cause, then there is no effect. So in essence, there could never be that accident of a circular saw cutting over my fingers in the first place, so there couldn't be damage. I also remembered from other testimonials on Wednesday night meetings, which you can learn an awful lot from, a quick affirmational prayer, which is, there is no spot where God is not. Which means essentially, God fills all space. So God was filling the very space where the illusional damage had occurred to my fingers. And God being perfect could not be damaged. So therefore, myself being created in the image and likeness of God, I could not be damaged either. And where God is, there's only peace and harmony, so there could be no pain. And so thinking along these lines, the pain disappeared, my fear disappeared, and I believed I had been handling this situation. I went to work, and it was interesting. Here I had these two band-aids on my hands, and I had to use my hands to work with people physically, and no one mentioned anything or seemed to notice that I had these band-aids, which meant I didn't have to explain or talk about or make something real that I was really understanding to be unreal. Well, after 2 days, something alarming happened. I began to smell an odor coming from my fingers. And my thought was, okay, I've handled this with Christian Science the best I can, but if I'm missing the boat, if I don't have a level of consciousness that's going to make this work, then it may be time to go to material medical. And Mary Baker Eddy spoke of the blind man who Jesus used clay on his eyes to heal his eyes. So it doesn't preclude going to material medica or a doctor if you cannot heal it through science in mind and Key to the Scriptures. So with that in mind, I removed the band-aids and was completely horrified. The wound was completely healed. There was no scab, there was nothing coming on those fingers. But the fingernails themselves were still cut in half. The odor had been coming not from my hand, but from the bandage and the cotton. It was a spontaneous healing with just one slight flaw, because the fingernails were still cut in half, and they grew up normally, and as you can see, there is no evidence of any damage, because in essence, there never was any accident, and therefore there was no harm ever done to my fingers in the first place.
Demonstrated